Just to start things off, I want to thank you all very much for checking out the most recent video I did about Grand Theft Auto 6, talking about the Ultimate Edition. It's kind of gotten pretty popular on the channel. If you haven't had a chance, be sure to check it out right there. But we're going to talk about a different topic, semi-GTA related, not exactly, but it could be something that will be a concern. So we have recent news that No Rest for the Wicked's Xbox development is rough thanks to the Series S. This actually goes back a couple weeks or so ago that this was reported, but No Rest for the Wicked, for anybody that doesn't know, is a new game from Moon Studios, the folks that brought us games like Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps, games that were originally Xbox console exclusives. So this is a studio that has worked with Xbox multiple times and had a partnership with them, but Xbox is not going to be getting this game at launch. You know, Sony is going to be getting this game on the PlayStation in October. The Xbox release date has not been determined yet, and it's because of the Series S. They're having troubles running this game on the Xbox Series S. And this is not the first time this has happened. You know, a lot of developers have had issues in the past with getting games running properly on the Series S. And this has resulted in issues with the games getting delayed. One of the most famous examples here is Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, which was the Game of the Year winner in 2023. It won the Game of the Year at the Game Awards. This was a game that was not available on Xbox at launch. As a matter of fact, it didn't come out on Xbox until the Game Awards event, because that's when they announced that it was now available for Xbox consoles. Again, it's because they were having issues with the Series S. As a matter of fact, this was due to a parity issue that Xbox has as a policy, to where if a feature is available in the game, that feature needs to function on both the Series X and the Series S in order to get approval from Microsoft to publish that game. Because of how big of a deal Baldur's Gate 3 was, they actually granted them an exception because the Series S wasn't able to get adequate performance for the split screen mode that was available for Baldur's Gate 3. You know, that is considered a feature, and the policy had outlined that that feature needs to work on both platforms in order to get the game out. And the developers were not able to do that in time for the launch, and I don't know if they had eventually fixed it or not. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell me if you have the Series S version of Baldur's Gate 3, if they had ever added the split screen multiplayer to it. But at least at the time that they did release it, the Series S version lacked that particular feature. Like, you could still play the game, you could play online, you just weren't able to do the two-player split screen mode, which was available on the other platforms, available on PlayStation, and also on Series X. So this is nothing new for them. This is nothing new at all. So the Series S parity, it does specify, of course, that it has to be for features, but, you know, what if there's major performance issues with the Series S to where they cannot get the game to run properly for Grand Theft Auto 6? I think that could be a major problem. I mean, Microsoft would have no choice but to bend to their whims, because it's easily the biggest game of the year. That's without a doubt. You know, even if everybody that absolutely refuses to, on principle, buy a physical copy of the game because it doesn't have a disc, if they don't buy the game at all, it's still very likely going to be the biggest game launch of all time. You know, we're talking that they're going to be making billions of dollars in terms of just the pre-order numbers They probably have already made billions of dollars just from the pre-orders now, even though the game's not out for another 5 months. There's not really any reason to pre-order it right now. I mean, there's no incentive. You're not getting any benefit to pre-order now versus if you waited until like a few days before launch to pre-order it then. But I digress. So this is going to be something that they're going to have to address potentially. Now, Rockstar is, of course, a really good publisher, really good developer. They have worked wonders in the past. There is a defective edition, but technically that wasn't Rockstar North or any of the Rockstar studios that you're aware of that developed it. So that's a little bit of a different story. But they're given how much that there could be with Grand Theft Auto 6, seeing the visual fidelity that we've seen from the trailers and stuff like that, this could be a major problem. There was other games as well. Good old Black Myth Wukong. This was one of the most popular games of 2024. A lot of people were upset that it got snubbed for Game of the Year because it was their Game of the Year. And that's another example of a game that did not release initially on Xbox because of issues with the Series S version of the game. And because of Microsoft's policy, they couldn't release the game. So that was another win that PlayStation got to have over Xbox. One of the most anticipated and biggest selling games of the year. It was not available on Xbox at launch. It did eventually come out on Xbox. They were able to get it up and running, acceptably to Microsoft standards in order to release it. But that's another example. And there's other upcoming games. Enshrouded. Enshrouded is one of those crafting survival style games. It's currently just on PC, but it's going to be available on PlayStation 5 on October 15th. It's not going to be available on Xbox then. It's not going to be available on Xbox until next year. And this is a game that has been very popular on Steam. I'm not sure what the sales numbers are, but this is a very popular game on Steam right now. And even though I'm not much of a survival builder guy, I ended up getting the game for myself. I enjoyed it. I'll probably be looking more into it once it gets out of early access, because I'm not a huge fan of checking out games in early access typically, because there's still like a lot of work that they got to do to get the game in a really good state. But it is still a very popular game right now, even despite that fact. This is something that Microsoft is going to have to deal with. They cannot afford to not have GTA 6 out because of a policy if Rockstar does have issues with getting the game up to acceptable performance on the Series S. Now, if they are able to get it working very good on the Series S, it makes you wonder, what could be next? Could there possibly be a Nintendo Switch 2 version of Grand Theft Auto 6? Is that something that maybe we could see in the future? Now, the reason why I say that is because, like, in a lot of benchmarks, comparing the Series S to the Switch 2, the Switch 2 oftentimes can go toe-to-toe with the Series S. So even though it is a handheld console, it's pretty capable. And, sometimes the Series S does beat it out, but sometimes there's been circumstances where the Switch 2 actually beat out the Series S version of the game. That may be due to differences in how the game is developed, and maybe the game is taking advantage of some of the features of the series or the Switch 2 that the Series S may not have the availability of that feature, so they are able to get it to run better on there. But, I guess it's tough to say. But, yeah, I just wanted to kind of sound off. This is something I think we need to discuss. If you're a Series S user, prepare yourself for the possibility that there may be issues with Grand Theft Auto 6 at launch. Hopefully not. But, hopefully not. I'm sure things will be fine. This could just be a warning that you don't need to worry about. But there have been numerous examples where that has been a problem for Xbox users. If whether you're a user on the Series S and they're having trouble getting the game running on your platform of choice, or if you're a Series X user who maybe your console is plenty capable, but because of Microsoft's policy, you have to wait along with the others. But let me know what you guys think. If you happen to enjoy this video, be sure to check out the most recent one that I did. I think you're going to get a kick out of it. And in the other corner, YouTube's algorithm is going to recommend something that probably be fire. I hope you agree, of course. And if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. But that's going to be the last line.